Hey, it's Man the Fuck Up Monday, and this is the Lock and Load show. Got my Nikita. Did some work, household repairs today, and it's one of those Man the Fuck Up Mondays, getting stuff done. Guess Dusty's cleaning up all of his firearms after a day of shooting. I wanted to screen share some pictures that Squib sent of the Second Amendment rally in Lansing, Michigan. He's still on the phone, or he's driving. I think he's at work still. Let me see if I could actually put these pictures up. Press all the right buttons in all the right order. Come on, man. Sorry for the delay. I think this is it. Okay, you guys seeing this?
Yep.
So that looks like the Capitol steps. It's a Second Amendment rally, and I saw something for some politician running for governor, maybe. Colbeck for governor. I don't know anything about who that is. But I guess you guys do, because I know Dusty lives in Michigan. He would know, right?
Yep. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything, though.
Okay. And so these are the pictures. I don't know if this was Saturday or Sunday that he took this. I guess Squib will talk more once he's done with work in like 30 minutes or so. So he said there's about 100 people there at this rally. And so Lansing is the state capital of Michigan. I didn't even know that.
Well, that's like, yes.
Thought it was Detroit.
That's like no, thank God. But no, he told me about, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock at night that night that he was going to that. Well, he told me on Edge's show, and I didn't know anything about it, and I'd already made plans to have a bunch of people over the next day, and otherwise I might have drove, because Lansing from where I live is about a 45-minute drive. I'm actually closer to Lansing than Squib is.
Okay. Well, after all the other, we're going to take your guns rallies and gun owners are evil and stuff rallies all over. I mean, I think the Washington D.C. rally, had they bust in a bunch of people, unknown people paid for that, and they had about 200,000 people there in Washington D.C.
I seen that on YouTube today myself.
What do you think?
I think we're falling behind unless we're careful.
Well, never stop fighting.
We have enough crazies that we are going to have to keep at it. I would like to say there's no way anything could ever happen, but I can't say that.
I'd say there's no way anything good will ever come from that, but they certainly aren't going to. Gun control certainly isn't going to make anyone safer, except criminals maybe, but certainly isn't going to control. The criminals don't care. Criminals don't follow gun laws. But anyway, did you guys hear Barack Obama said he wanted to have like 1 million people, little Barack and Michelle Obamas? I was like, yeah, that's a terrible quote that's going to get snipped and reused over and over. It's like, is he going to use cloning, androids, or android Obamas, or cyborgs? You know, it's like going to be, imagine a Terminator, except instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's Obama. God, and then imagine 1 million of them. I mean, I wouldn't want one on every working in a 7-Eleven. I mean,
no.
All right, so let's see. I did order a samurai or a katana. Yeah, I was trying to screen share that one if I could. not an expensive one, but it was 1045 and 1065 high carbon steel. So I'll look forward when it gets here, and had a lot of good reviews. So see if I can screen share that. I could do more than one thing at a time. And oh, amazingly, I keep getting, I think because when I downloaded the Potcoin wallet, I got, apparently you can get, they now have, this takes all the fun out of smoking weed, I would think, but they have like gummy bears. and they don't have the psychoactive component, though. It's like, it's supposed to be the non-psychoactive medically beneficial part of it, and the oil, and so they can sell it over state borders legally. But it's like that takes all the fun out of smoking a joint, because when I was a kid, I mean, it was like the fun part of it was that, one, you were breaking the law. And we just wouldn't have been into gummy bears with or without the psychoactive part of it. I mean, and if you're gonna ditch school and go hang out at the arcade and smoke a joint, I mean, nobody wants to ditch school, hang out at the arcade, and like have gummy bears. It's just. Oh, here it is. Here's it. Yeah. So I got emails from this gummy bear, high-tech cannabinoid or whatever it is. So there's no psychoactive components, so, but I suppose it's might be good for you or not. I wouldn't know. I'm not a doctor, but anyway. So here's the sword, though. Screen share with it. It's Damascus, 2 high-carbon steels folded together. I think 9 folds for 1,024 layers. So it should be a pretty, and it has a fuller, so it should be a pretty awesome sword. I'll sharpen it myself if it doesn't come sharp enough. But I wasn't looking to spend $500 on a sword, so this was like list price $175, discounted to like $70. So I went with that. Shinwa makes some pretty okay stuff, so I think Shinwa is Japanese for perfection, but don't quote me on that. So I guess the next day or two, I'm going to head down to Home Depot and get some new bits for my Makita cordless screwdriver, because I don't have much, a couple drill bits and a Phillips, and I had to borrow a flathead to install reinstall my bathroom fan after getting it fixed. And I just felt like, for shit hits the fan, I better have more than just a Phillips head for my screwdriver in case shit hits the fan. More tools, more drill bits are going to be required somehow. So got a visit to Home Depot coming up. And other than that, not too much. I think the local gun store is only open. It's a WTF shop now. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Not WikiLeaks Task Force or what the fuck. And but and what else has been going on? And the Dow went up almost 700 points today. I think it went down $1,400, 1,400 points last week on the fear of a trade war, and since the Trump and since the U.S. and Chinese are working out a deal, then it's like, oh my God, Trump actually knows what he's doing and he's negotiating a better deal. So the market went back up instead. And but if anybody saw Steve Mnuchin on the Sunday show on I think Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace, that was you can kind of get a sense for what that guy is. I mean, especially when he was talking about I mean, he's a market manipulator. I think he used to work for Goldman Sachs as their technical guy for manipulating the price of silver or gold or something, or metals, because it was when Chris Wallace asked him about he asked him about the line item veto, and Trump wants a line item veto, but Clinton had the line item veto basically that law was challenged and went up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional. So it's like Mnuchin was like, well, they can just pass a law, and it's like, no, they can't. It's not constitutional. And don't you understand? But Mnuchin is he's used to getting around things like that. He says, well, there's other ways we can do it, and I don't want to get into a debate. There's no other way. You can't bypass the separation of powers. And but I mean, they want to bypass the Second Amendment and the separation of powers with the bump stock ban. I mean, instead of passing a law that bans bump stocks, they just want to have a regulation and have the executive branch do it. But it's like, it's just that when I wanted to really ask Squibb this question because he works in the auto industry, but it's like a lot of the numbers that you hear are fake, are really fake news. And one thing I wanted to specifically ask Squibb when he ever gets back is that my understanding is that the auto industry counting system, they count an automobile as sold as soon as it's delivered to the lot, the sales lot, the car dealer. They count it as sold.
Yes, the dealer buys it at that time.
But the consumer hasn't bought it.
No, but the dealer has bought it. The car industry has made it sell. Once it's delivered to a dealer's lot, it's that dealer's property, not GM's.
Yes, but when people use car sales as, oh, look how good the economy is doing, they're selling all these cars. But okay, no consumers have actually bought any cars, and if they can't afford to buy any cars, then that would show up in the numbers because the numbers aren't actually showing how many consumers bought cars. So it is like a fake number. I mean, GM may not own it, but if you're saying look at all the great auto sales are booming, but no, auto sales are not booming. Not really. Not if there was a consumer number that shows how many consumers bought cars, that would actually mean something, but because it would show the strength of the economy.
But
to show how many
you're wrong, because if a dealer's not selling vehicles, he's not going to take delivery of more. So, and that's really what happened when a few years ago when we had to bail out GM. The dealers went down before GM started feeling a pinch. But then once all the mom and pop,
we didn't have to bail out GM,
but we did because all the mom and pop dealers was going out of business, and GM was not selling the cars either. Because once that dealer goes out of business, they just lost a sale basically on that car.
It just seems like manipulating the numbers. And so to me, it feels like a manipulated number when they report what the auto sales are just because the dealer bought it. I mean, if the consumers, so your theory is that the dealer won't buy it if the consumers won't buy it. But I mean, they aren't going to release, the government's going to not release a statistic on how many cars are sitting on the lot unsold because consumers can't scrounge together the money to buy them at 0% interest. I mean, there's a lot of 0% interest and money back deals, for automobiles right now.
It's no different.
We're making a lot of cars, okay?
Okay.
Take a look at that. We're making a lot of cars.
Well, Wiki, when are you going to get that plastic machine doing something important, like making like Glocks or something with the...
I think he should make bullets.
I think he should make like a Glock bumper instead of like Pontiac or Mustang. You should like have something you can put on a car that says Glock.
An environmental friendly bullet made out of plastic? Or substance like that.
I mean, then California is definitely going crazy. Apparently, because now not only California will give out a driver's license to anyone and register them to vote. In 2020, because somehow that's all the other states are require like proof of citizenship of some kind, like a social security number or a birth certificate to prove their citizenship before you can get a driver's license. But California gives them out to anybody. So as of 2020, you can't use California driver's license to or ID to board an airplane, go into a federal building, or anything involved with the federal government, or you can't get on a plane with a California ID. So I'm definitely going to be updating to my Hawaii driver's license. Not that I'm sure that's any better, but if California definitely isn't going to, I didn't bother to update my driver's license to Hawaii because Hawaii doesn't really care what state it's not required to drive a car in Hawaii. They don't care. But I think they're following the Real ID laws, and they're not just giving a driver's license out to anyone. And but it's like if you live in California and that you have a California ID and you can't even get on a plane, that's like a problem. Going to be a problem in 2020. So it's the whole sanctuary city thing is getting out of control. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, hopefully I can get an ammo run in this week on a WTF day when the shop is open. Buy a few rounds of something. But yeah, it's getting less and less simple to buy firearms in the U.S. and Hawaii has so many dumb gun laws. It's really kind of discourages you from buying firearms. It's like, who wants to be on our unconstitutional rat blacklist? And the one range is basically just, they say it's a firearm range, but you don't have a hunting license. They can seize all your firearms, so it's really not. It's for hunters only, and you have to agree to follow the hunting regulations. You have a hunter's license. I don't even want to pay them their $20 their hunting license. It's like after the governor signed all those stupid laws. And basically the hunting regs are just caliber restrictions. You can't take your kid out with a .22, and it's just you can't use a .22 in a hunting area, which it's the only place. There's no like real firearms range in Hawaii. So only if you have private property or have a friend with private property. If you go out in the hunting areas and go shooting, you're required to have a current hunting license. And there's certain calibers you can't use, and you can't use like just regular pistols. It has to, if you have a .44 Magnum, you can use one of those, but it has to have I forgot the exact. It's like how they measure the force in pounds per second. I forgot what it was. They have some measurement of the muzzle velocity, I think, but like .44 Magnum or higher or something. It's like stupid. So you can't carry. It's like you can't go take a 9mm to the range and just shoot some targets because that's bad, and it's not. It's prohibited by the hunting regs. It's like, give me a fucking break. But anyway, so I don't know what else everybody else is working on. I know Dusty's cleaning up some of his guns. How many guns are you cleaning? 5?
Oh, I'm down to 2 now. But
yeah, I have guns to clean, knives to sharpen, and a bolt to finish smoothing down the edges off of it that weren't like smoothed out at the factory on my CZ. Gun Channels is back up. Apparently the all the rooms are now working. The text rooms like gunchannels.com/HVS, and all the like Edge of the Week, his channel's working, and so that's like pretty good news. I was pretty stoked on it. Was up in time for Edge's chat, and I was like, really, wow. And so because I think we got, how long was it down for? A month basically or something, and people were just using the one page that it's working. So that's great. I'm glad to see that it's the text chats of all the individual channels for the shows are back up. It's good news because it makes things easier for everybody to have conversations. What else is going on? Let's see. Oh yeah, what about the whole thing with Russia? And there's if you believe MI6 and British intelligence, the men who brought us Christopher Steele and the Trump dossier, if you believe them, then the Russians used radio or used nerve gas to attack two spies that were turned by the British from former Russian spies that I guess are double agents and now work for kind of like we're out of the loop and they wanted to live peacefully in Britain, and they attacked them with nerve gas, and so lots of countries are expelling them. So I'm not sure what to believe out of Britain, except that I guess it's cold there. That I'll believe. But as far as how many Russian people get thrown out, I basically heard that Russia is going to have, like they have somewhere on the internet, they've got like a thing where a web page where Russians can vote for which city they want to throw all the Americans out of in Russia. So, if I was them, I'd throw the Americans out of St. Petersburg because that's where the Russian Navy is. That's their main base. It's always traditionally been their main base. So if I was going to spy on Russia, I'd put my spies in St. Petersburg to keep track of what their Navy is doing. Anyway, let's see. Korea. I sent out the Londo Confronts Morden video about how to negotiate with North Korea. What you guys think of that?
I watched it.
I thought that's how you negotiate with North Korea. I mean, it's like you just ask him politely to turn over all his nuclear weapons, and if he says no, then you blow up North Korea. I mean, while before he leaves the room. And so, if you haven't seen that video, I'll post a link later. But you could just search for Londo Confronts Morden, and it's a Babylon 5 video. But that's exactly how I would negotiate with North Korea. And the good thing about doing that is because then Iran would cut out all the shit that it's doing, because it looks like the Saudis and Iran. I mean, Saudis just got hit with a bunch of missiles, Iranian missiles fired out of Yemen. I mean, everybody knows where the missiles were came from. I mean, they were launched from Yemen, but Iran made them. So Saudis and Israel and the Hezbollah, it looks like they're all gonna like duke it out, and there's gonna be a lot of spillover if that becomes if they stop doing the proxy war shit and just go straight at each other, then it'll be messy, very messy. Usually the Iranians' history has been proxy wars, but they've taken proxy war to like incredibly new heights of is this really a proxy anymore when you're shooting missiles into the capital of another country? Except they're not coming from Iran, they're coming from Yemen, but they're your missiles anyway. I mean, how is that not a proxy war? Why bother like retaliating against Yemen when you really need to bomb Iran? Because that's who's sending the missiles. So, but again, I think most of the Iranians are sick of the Iranian government too. But like, what are they going to do about it? They're just stuck there. But anyway, so I've been doing all my preps, just keeping on little preps, little at a time. I got the my H2O water labs. The steam distiller is working out great. Basically, I take the water from my reverse osmosis filter, dump that into the steam distiller, and what comes out is pretty damn clean water. So, and I use it for coffee, and it's great. Hot coffee tastes better, but it's nice to have a real steam distillation is a pretty good way to get anything, just get pure water out of water that you're not completely sure of. So. I think that was good. Can you hear me now? Yeah, I can hear you, Pat.
Okay. I don't think you guys can hear me for a while.
You really haven't said anything, have you?
Well, I have.
Well, maybe we haven't been hearing you then.
I'll shut up and let you talk then, because we didn't hear anything.
No. I was just like, well, like all the way back to the license and not being able to get on an airplane. I mean, I was like, what? That's crazy. Because
it's the real ID. It's the real ID law that was passed a few years back, and so
they're not supposed to. They're not. I was even told by a TSA agent from a friend that I was in Vegas with, and she lost her license. And I go, you don't have to show an ID to travel in the U.S. It's still a free country. They don't have,
But to get on a plane, you have to go through a TSA checkpoint, and your ID has to match the name on the ticket, has to match the person. So they need the ID for that, and they can't. And so if your ID is just they give out ID to anybody from any country, if they don't follow the real ID laws, then their California ID isn't considered valid by the federal government. So the TSA works as federal government, so you can't get on a plane.
Yeah, but this was back. Oh God, I don't know, like 2004. No, 5.
When the Real ID law passed, well, whenever it passed, but not everything kicks in. I mean, until 2020. How those laws are, it's like they pass the law one day, and certain parts of it go into effect right away, and so certain parts go into effect at a later date. Because they couldn't institute Real ID overnight, so but if the state refuses to follow the law at all, then the TSA just won't accept that. There's basically a few things, for safety that the TSA, when they have to check your name and make sure it's the same person whose name is on the ticket, and
right.
It's like.
The way what happened was when my friend lost her license, they just had her go through an extra line of security, and they said, "All right, what's your name, birth date, social security number, all this?" And she went ahead and told them. They literally asked her, "What was the name of your third grade teacher?" They had all that info. I'm not kidding you. She goes, "What did they ask you?" She goes, "They want to know who my third grade teacher was." And I said, "I don't remember."
Neither do I. Come to think of it.
Yeah. Oh, she told me they had some crazy questions and that they already knew it was all there. I was like, what?
Well, and has anybody been following, speaking of too much information, has anybody been following the whole Facebook thing? Facebook has been getting clobbered in the stock market.
Oh, well, if you think anything's private on Facebook, then you're living in a pipe dream.
I know, but he was basically selling all. Anyway, he's in big trouble, and it's like he's getting hauled before a congressional committee, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a kid who had Facebook, and I know he's worth billions of dollars. I mean, I think he's worth $14 billion less than he was a week ago. But
they won't.
Well, it's like it's one of those things where people think some companies are too big to fail, but Google and Facebook and all those companies, if what they've been saying on the news is if you can use a free service like YouTube or Facebook and you don't pay anything for it, then you are the product. And so they're going to make money off you any way they can by collecting information and surveilling you, and every click that you make and every website you go to and everything that you buy on your credit cards. Yeah, all that's in this is one big database, and I wouldn't be surprised if you go to a TSA agent and they at one point in the future and they look up, oh well, we want to verify your identity. What was the last porn site you were on? It's like I don't remember.
Oh, I guarantee you they'll probably ask that. Or what was the last baseball game you went to? Or I mean, it's all out there. And I mean, you prove all this stuff when you get on there and accept it. Like I had to get a new phone a week ago or a couple weeks ago, and ask, well, do you give this app permission to do this? Accept or deny. And if you hit deny, of course, it doesn't work.
Right.
And you have to hit OK, for it to look at your pictures, your text messages, your phone numbers, or else nothing's going to work. So they've done it on purpose. To me, it ought to be a big class action lawsuit is saying, hey,
well, there's no right to privacy. There's no right to privacy in the Constitution. There's the Fourth Amendment. Is it the Fourth Amendment? The searches and papers and being secure in your, but
illegal search and seizure.
Well, basically the thing is they have like a disclaimer thing when you sign on up for that stuff, and that's supposed to. But if it gets before Congress, then they can make some changes to the laws and stuff, and but mostly it's gonna. I assume it'll be political grandstanding, and they'll try and make him look bad, which he already looks like an idiot because he doesn't know how to run his own company at all. And it's a very large it has a very large net capitalization market cap.
Most of his customers are kids. I mean, they are. I mean,
I thought, well, and the Russians, but yeah.
Oh, it's just the Russians. I'm so tired about the Russians. The Russians will take a flying leap off a short pier. I mean, God, no offense. I'm not. I mean, a year and a half. That's all it's on the news. The Russian this, Russia that.
Well, now it's all Stormy Daniels, and it's like, well, I wish that would have been a topless interview. That's all I have to say.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care what he did 11 years ago with some other chick. It's not. He's not Bill Clinton. He's not doing it now.
Right. He's like a 75-year-old guy now, or 73 or 72 or something. It's like. Yeah, I mean, so he banged some blonde girl with some blonde porn star and paid her off. I mean, she was well paid and she's been well laid, and that's the end of it. I mean, who cares?
I mean, that's her. Well,
but what's going to happen is if Trump sits down with Mueller, they're going to try and get him for lying to him and which will be obstruction of justice. So if he sits down with him, asks him, did you have sex with Stormy Daniels? And then he'll ask, then he'll start asking questions about that. And it's like, okay,
that's none of his business. Just ain't doing Bill Clinton said. It's none of your business.
Well, he'll probably just ask questions about that and try and catch him, because people lie about sex.
But it was all before he was the president.
I know.
So who cares?
So
they're trying to catch him in a lie so they can claim he obstructed justice.
He just needs to tell them to go screw themselves. I'm not talking to you about that. Before I was president,
how can he be obstructing justice if he's talking about his personal life before he was the president?
Because if you lie in front of a special prosecutor, 3 FBI agents, and a stenographer, you're in trouble. In a deposition.
Wait. If they're going to ask him about his personal relationships before he was in office, and he lies about that, and they go, see, he's a liar? That's weak, dude.
No, that's called lying to the FBI, which is a felony actually, and
The fifth.
you lied.
The right to plead the fifth.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
It's real simple. All he has to do is pull executive privilege. Done.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have to testify. He doesn't have to give a deposition to Mueller at all. So I wouldn't. But there's been a big whole controversy of whether he should testify or not. And I mean, I don't care whether he does. But they're going to ask him about Stormy Daniels because they want to catch him in a lie about anything. And then whatever he lies about, even if it's just who he had sex with 15 years ago, it'll be like, you know.
But HBS, we have all caught him in the biggest lie of all when he said, no new gun control. And then what's he done? So he's already proven he's a liar. So there we go.
Yeah, but he hasn't lied he just lied to the people on that one. He didn't lie to the FBI. That's different. One's a felony, the other's politics.
Well, one, I would just tell him to go screw themselves.
I don't know if lying to the FBI is necessarily a felony.
Yeah. Well, why don't you go lie to the FBI and I'll bail you out of whatever jail they toss you in. I mean, don't lie to the FBI in a deposition.
If you lie, then don't they have to due process to prove that it's a lie? Oh, I'm sorry, no. Just arrest him and due process later, right?
Yeah, due process. The due processes are later, Squib. You know, we'll do that later.
Okay, now I know. Okay, now I got it.
It'll be like the grounds for an impeachment if the Democrats can win the midterms.
But what's to impeach him on if he sit there and he had sex with a
if he lies about it, then they can say he obstructed justice by lying to the special prosecutor and 3 FBI agents and a stenographer.
That's weak. But look at it like this. If they impeached him and a Democrat took his place, would we be any better off?
No, Mike Pence would take his place if they impeached him, and he was convicted. But it's like,
well, does Pence make any sense?
Well, then it's Paul Ryan.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like the country is just so screwed up. Let's just start a war, and then nobody will care about this shit anymore.
No.
So you were complaining about car companies or something earlier, and I was able to put my earbuds in right about that time.
I wasn't. I'll restate what I said before. I wasn't complaining about car companies. I was questioning the relevance of the automobile industry's car sales numbers because when the accountants count the amount of automobiles sold in the quarterly reports are based on just as soon as the automobiles are delivered to a dealer lot, then they're counted as sold. When no actual automobiles have been sold to like a consumer. And
but the dealer takes on that burden. The dealer takes on that burden. And they are actually required. They are required to buy a certain number of certain car models with certain options, whether they want them or not. If they want to keep their dealership, if they want to keep buying or getting cars from those manufacturers, they will say we've got overstock or we've got overflow, or you have to take so many white cars or so many red cars or so many cars that are fully loaded.
The point that I was trying to make, Squib, was that the auto sales numbers, when people say, "Oh, the auto sales are great," but that it doesn't indicate whether or not at that moment in time consumers can actually afford to go out and buy cars. It's just reporting how many cars are dumped on a lot. And
yeah, but that doesn't mean anything because they will sell. The car lots sell cars. They make money. They make tons of money. That's why I was showing you that assembly line or that line there where these little Ford emblems are coming off.
If retail sales collapse, it's not the car sales numbers won't give you an indication.
Those dealerships make such a big profit margin off of those cars. Yeah. If they've got to mark a few of them down to move them, they will, and it's not going to hurt them. You would not believe what the dealership pays and what you pay. If you knew the difference, you'd probably never want to buy a new car again. It's unreal.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, I have my heart set on a Dodge Demon, but
So, and to give you an idea too, a $60,000 pickup truck costs them just as much to make as a $30,000 sedan. And some people might go, "Oh no, it's got more metal, it's got more of this." I'm telling you, it costs the same to make. It really does. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit more to make, but not that much more. Not $30,000 more. So, yep. You know, and I'm talking in price, the price you pay at the lot from the dealer. So, manufacture, you know, their biggest expense is labor. The next biggest expense is R&D, and then the next biggest expense is transportation. Making all the parts and all that stuff it's a regular day's worth of work. But yeah, I wouldn't use car sales if you're going to look at our economic collapse that's not happening. I wouldn't look at car sales because, dude, we're running our machines 3 shifts. We're running them so much we can't even shut them down to change the oil on them.
Well, the point I was trying to make is I don't think car sales can be used as a barometer of the health of the retail economy.
I don't know. It's that whole durable goods thing, right?
Well, when people couldn't afford them when the housing market took a crash, I mean, we had cars sitting on the lot for almost a whole year plus. And we were selling them dirt way cheaper than what they were the year before.
And when the bailout happened, didn't they have like some lemon rebate law or something where people could bring in cars? And
that was a joke. That was such a catch for clunkers. That was so much. It was crap.
Yeah.
What I heard was happening is people would like pour sand in their engine block and then take it to the dealer, says it's a lemon, and then get traded.
No, people were bringing in their clunkers that on paper qualified for cash-free clunkers, only to be turned away and told, "Sorry, your car don't qualify." It didn't work. It was a load of crap. It was like some of this legislation that has a really cool catchphrase name, but it really doesn't do what it says it does. Cash for clunkers did not do anything to help car sales. It just pissed off consumers.
Clunkers got rid of eyesores.
It killed the used car market too, and made it hard for people that can't afford to buy a new vehicle to find a good quality used vehicle.
Oh, and if you still had one and you had that car in the junkyard, you couldn't take parts off of it in the junkyard because
it had to be smashed.
Sell it out of the junkyard either.
Nope, it had to be smashed.
Yep.
Back to guns. The omnibus bill apparently had basically money for the CDC to study gun violence as a disease.
Yeah, it has a whole fix Nix bill in it. Thank you, John Cornyn, you jerk.
Okay, so this is the problem I have with that. It's not that the CDC is doing a study. It's not that it's a government thing. It's not that they're looking at it as a disease. My thing is the redundancy. Hasn't the FBI been doing this data, crunching these numbers and recording this data for decades? Why do we need a second government agency doing the exact same thing? Why are we paying twice as taxpayers?
They want a different avenue for disqualifying people from firearms. And
they want to make it a medical issue.
Yeah, they're saying you can't own a firearm because this city is has gotten too much gun violence. So, and that's a disease. Due to the disease of gun violence in the city, everyone in the city is disqualified.
Stupid like that. This is one way how they're going to make it when a Democrat gets in charge, or anybody who, not a Democrat, but anybody who wants to take things away. It is now, you are not mentally fit to own them because you're giving up your rights, just like Obama did with the deal about the cash, or you can't.
Oh, the people who were on Social Security that had somebody handle their finances, to include doing their taxes, and saying, "Oh, if you handle your finances or do your taxes, how can you handle a firearm?" And it's like, wait a minute. There are multimillionaires who have people handle their finances, and they're well-educated people with all their facilities.
And nobody can figure out that. I mean, you know how many pages are in the tax code?
Well, it's just the whole. You're using a really weak premise to prohibit people, and it's not a good thing.
I pay to have my taxes done.
Yeah,
and it takes you forever too, by the way.
I know it does. It's a lot of work. Just
for somebody else. Well, you're involved,
but basically, yeah, you do. When I ran my subchapter S, I had to have a spreadsheet. I had used Quicken. I had entered every expense, every margarita lunch. When I bought a 6-pack for the fridge, everything was that my beer was on my Quicken spreadsheets. I deducted everything, and so I would show up. I'd just show up at my accountants with a laptop, and he'd look at all the numbers, and then he knew how to do the different depreciation scales and all that stuff, and. But yeah, you have to enter all. You do a lot of the work, but basically you pay the accountant for is to know how to
where to put the numbers.
Yeah, to fill out the forms correctly and in the most advantageous way to yourself, because the tax code is it's huge, and it's like. If you thought I think the Affordable Care Act was like a stack of things that was like 1.5 feet high of papers, but the tax code. I mean, how many pages is the tax code? I mean, 1 million, something ridiculous. And
is with this omnibus bill. If he says I will never sign it again, I didn't want to like it, then why the hell did you do it?
He'll never ever sign it again until September.
Yeah, I mean, why do it if you didn't want to do it to begin with?
Here's my solution to this to making the Democrats really pissing off the Democrats. If I was Trump, here's what I would do. He says, okay, this bill for the omnibus spending bill, which I will never sign, does not include any significant funding for the wall. So since we can't afford a wall, because the Democrats refuse to appropriate money for a wall under any circumstances, no matter what I offer to give them, even if I let all the DACA kids in for free and give them free health care and a free car and a free phone, that they aren't going to have any border wall money. So what I'm going to do, because you funded the military, is I'm going to mine the border and just put up signs that says, and then okay, and let's say minefield in Spanish, and
just put a sombrero with little blood droplets falling off.
Mine the border, and then the next time the drug cartel sends a bunch of packers over with bales of marijuana and heroin to be picked up somewhere in Arizona or Texas by their cartel contacts, agents, then they might step into a minefield and get blown up. And once people start getting blown up, and you don't even have to, what's brilliant about it is you don't even have to mine the entire border. You just, because once people, you just put up signs along the border that say minefield, and they'll never know where the mines are.
For the rivers, you just put piranhas in the river.
Well, they have boats they can go across the river in, dude. I mean, the cartel has money.
These are the large Amazon style, they eat boat.
Use really, really, really big piranhas.
No, hippopotamus. Yes. We need to put hippopotamus in because hippopotamus will attack a boat.
Yeah, we can do that too. It's warm enough here.
I'm serious. Minefields will deter not only illegal immigration but the drug cartels. I mean, nobody in their right mind, no matter how much money, no matter what the drug cartel is going to walk into an active minefield.
Because some kid's going to walk through their HVS one day when their Boy Scout troop is all going to get blown to hell.
Well, you're going to put signs that say it's a minefield. Who's going to send
do it? The Boy Scouts now. Come on, man. I'm an Eagle Scout. They don't know what they're doing anymore.
Well, they'll have to have a new merit badge where all they have to do is recognize. No, you just read a sign that says minefield, and then you get a merit badge. For not to go in it. But
there is a way to crawl through a minefield and use a bayonet to dig through the dirt and search for mines. It's a very time-consuming process, but you could make a merit badge for that. Mine location.
Well, that would be like for the drug cartel side.
I've seen that done in a bunch of the World War II movies, like in Kelly's Heroes when they walk into the minefield. They're all doing
that's pretty much the way you do it too.
Yep.
I don't think we'd have to have like plastic or wood box mines and stuff so that drug cartel just couldn't buy a bunch of metal detectors.
Look, the whole thing is we cannot count on Trump. I'm not trying to go anti-Trump here or I'm all pro-Trump or whatever. It's just based on what he's been doing, we just cannot count on him to honor his promises. Now,
well, you can't.
A lot of politicians are like that too, but it just everybody pin their hopes on this guy, and we're gonna just have
keep hope alive.
We're never gonna get rid of the fight. We're always gonna be in the fight to try to do the right thing to keep our rights. And I think he set a precedent that we're going to have more Republican politicians that are out there, whether they're rhinos or not, that are going to go against, or they're going to be for gun control. And I know you could say, well, Reagan signed the Hughes Amendment, and Bush Sr. did 922R. I understand that but HW was really pro-gun. So I was kind of thinking he righted the ship. But now I'm just there thinking it doesn't matter what political affiliation they are. I think that we're just going to have a bunch of politicians out there that are just going to be more anti-gun than pro-gun.
Well, if you're going
to get the votes from David Hogg.
All I know is if I was Trump, if he doesn't show up at the next election, the 2020 election with the wall, then he should just say, okay, we're going to build a minefield instead. And because they won't give us the money. And I would start planting mines now. I wouldn't even ask for permission. He's got a military budget of almost the largest military spending bill ever in the history of the country.
What do we care about illegals coming across the border? They've been doing it for a long time. What's the big deal about
the
that?
drug cartels coming across the border is what I really care about.
Well, we got to get our drugs somehow. What, are you worried they're competing with homegrown or?
Well, they are.
I'm worried about the drug cartel, the Sinaloa cartel murdering Americans who happen to get in their way, or they just happen to decide they want to kill.
When they finally do ban all the guns and they confiscate all the guns, where do you think we're going to get our guns from illegally?
Mexico?
Your neighbor.
Yep. So we need them to have a way to get across. They can just put a couple cigs in with that bale of cocaine.
when they ban guns and then you could stand in front of the wall and say tear down this wall or dig up that minefield. But I'm for a minefield. I'm for minefields because the beauty of it is if you just put
hedgehogs.
If you put signs that say minefield, that's only in front of my house, man. But I'd say if you put mines, you don't even have to mine the whole border. You just put signs along the border that say minefield, and they'll never know where the mines are.
But it would not really be that hard to do.
No,
it would not be that hard to do.
Putting
we just
mines
need to have the force field that they use in Star Trek. That's invisible. You can't see it till you walk up to it. Okay, that's all we need.
I'm for minefields at this point. If they want, it'll really piss off the Democrats. They'll go ballistic, and Trump will look like a genius if he does it because you won't give me a wall. Okay, I'll build a minefield.
They would want your head at HBS on a platter because they would find out you were the one that's suggesting it.
Well, they can't get my.
Well, no. Okay, you want to know how you put a minefield across the U.S.-Mexico border and you cover all your bases? You condemn any land along the border that isn't already federal, and by the way, most of it is federally owned. You condemn all the land, and you turn it into a military reservation, and now only troops can get on there, and then they can mine it because it's on a military base. Problem solved. You turn the entire border, at least, 10 miles into a military reservation. So the national parks that are along the border, they got to give up 10 miles of land. Any of the private property, eminent domain. There you go. It's one big military reservation, and then you mine it. That's how you do it without anybody getting hurt and without.
Well, people are going to get hurt in a minefield. I mean,
I'm saying he was talking about a Boy Scout troop that's going to get blown up. They're not going to have access to a military reservation.
Oh, we went to Fort Hood more than once.
Why are Boy Scouts going to?
You have to get permission. You don't just walk onto Fort Hood. You have to get permission.
Just walk into a minefield. There's a sign that says minefield. Even Boy Scouts are smart enough not to walk into it.
Not anymore, dude. They're eating Tide. They're eating soap.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Too much cannabidol gummy bears.
Look, all I'm saying is if they really want to do border security and they couldn't build a wall, literally convert the entire border into one massive military reservation. You rotate out National Guard troops from every state to do their 2-week duty there, and you have shoot on sight orders. So if they're coming across the border and they get through the minefield, then they better be dressed up like military personnel, U.S. military personnel, because otherwise they'll be shot on sight.
Well, you don't have to shoot anybody. Why waste a bullet? Just scare the shit out of them by placing minefield signs everywhere and install 1 or 2 minefields. And then the first people that get blown up, they'll say, "Oh my God, there's mines there," and nobody else will dare to cross the border.
I'm just talking about doing it legally and being able to say it's for national security and.
Well, what are you, a lawyer all of a sudden? Come on, man.
I'm worried about the lizards that are going to be on these military bases. The little lizards and the frogs.
That's cruelty to animals. You'll have PETA protesting.
I'm going to have to get you in court.
A lizard's not going to set off a mine.
PETA is going to protest the minefield. I prepared for that.
That's the reason why they won't allow Jeeps and 4-wheel drives, in the Sierra Mountains and all that. Sierra Nevada Mountains.
No. What we'll do is instead of import tariffs against foreign imported cars, we'll make them be imported through the minefield.
Whichever one's device can come through.
Look, I'm just trying to find a cost-effective way that you can legally justify national defense, and we've already got the resources to do it. And if you had a bunch of people going, "We can't put up the wall because it costs too much money," or "We can't do this," all right, well, here's a plan. It doesn't really cost crap. We've already got all the infrastructure to do it. Give me a reasonable argument. Lizards? Really? That's your argument?
No, let's just fly a B-52. One B-52 pass over the border. They just drop a bunch of cluster bomb mines.
Actually, Hawaii, they do.
Yeah.
They do. There's 2 bombing ranges on the U.S.-Mexico border, and we have aircraft from all the branches go fly over there and drop ordnance all the time.
Yeah, well, we know where the drug cartels cross. We know the human traffickers cross. It's just we need to mine those areas and put up signs all along the border. And then after the first few groups, 2 or 3 groups get blown up and some depressed people go nuts and there's protest and a reporter walks on the minefield and the reporter gets blown up on CNN, then people will stop going into the minefield. And
but the drugs will be dead. Well,
your drug prices will be higher.
Why am I on this show?
We know you love it.
It's perfect.
You know you love it. This is Man the Fuck Up Friday.
Here's the problem. It'll never happen. It'll never happen, and the wall will never happen because drug money is inside the U.S. government. We wanted to have done it. We would have done it 30 freaking years ago. You're telling me, okay, I lived behind a Secret Service agent when I was still living my Grapevine, and I went up to his house one day selling popcorn when I was a Boy Scout, and he answered the door, and he told me that he just came back from an operation down in Colombia where they were pain field. And then we had the Secret Service come up and talk to us, asking if he'd have done any strange stuff in the last year or two. He did it every year. So, I mean, if we wanted to do this stuff, we could have done it. They're not going to do it.
You're roboting. You're roboting a little there, Pat.
They're not going to do nothing because drug money is inside the government.
Well, drug money built Miami. I know that, but
oh yeah, if they wanted to stop it, they could. They're not going to stop it. There's no wall going to be built. Unfortunately, no mines. It is a good idea. And turn it all into military.
I'm full of good ideas. This is Man the Fuck Up Monday, lock and load. I mean, so anyway, that's my idea for the day, minefields.
It's the DMZ of the United States.
Well, now that they're building like some new...
And that's more or less what it would be. It would be a demilitarized zone. And I'm sure that would probably be one of the leading arguments against it is, we're not Korea, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that we have to do that, but if like you were saying, if they were really serious 30 years ago, they would have put up the minefield or something. They would have done something concrete to stop this.
Well, yeah, politicians weren't serious, and so if you are serious, then put up. They don't want to give you money for the wall. Put up a minefield. They gave you money for the military. You don't need Congress to approve it. He can do that because he's the president. He's the commander in chief. If he wants to put a minefield, if he wants to mine the border, he can. He doesn't need a vote from Congress.
National security.
And then when if the people hate it and vote him out of office for the next term, then the next president will need like a vote to dig up the minefield, and then the Republicans Ron Paul will filibuster or whatever Paul is there. Somebody will filibuster.
Okay, I have an alternate plan to the problem.
Okay.
Why don't we just annex Mexico?
Annex Mexico.
Why would we want Mexico?
We could get like 10 more states, right?
I said, why would we want Mexico? I'd rather.
Why not? Okay.
I'd rather give.
If you can't beat them, join them. So now we turn Mexico and part of the United States.
How about we
right?
just give California
and
back
now
to Mexico?
Sudden they're like, well, why do we got to go there? Because we already are there. So
just give California back to Mexico.
Hey, didn't we? What was it? Yeah, didn't Patton go down there after Ponchovia? We already invaded it once. We can do it again.
Blackjack, Pershing, Patton, and somebody else. Yeah, they were down there.
Yeah, so what we do is we give California back to Mexico, and then we mine the border between California, Arizona, and Nevada. And Mexico.
We were in there in what, 1842? We pretty much could have taken over the country in the mid-19th century, and we decided, no, we'll leave them a sovereign nation. And we could just be one big, happy country. Then there wouldn't be any drug problem. Then there wouldn't be a problem with illegal immigrants and jobs getting stolen and blah, blah, blah. They'd be like, damn, we're Americans too. Now we got cable TV and amusement parks. Woohoo! You know?
Right.
Nobody would be speaking another language that nobody can understand.
¿Qué pasa? Señor.
There would be no more NAFTA.
World domination by the United States of America. Yeah.
Like, everybody wants to live here. Everybody wants to be us. Well, screw it. You want to be us? Join us. Join us. You know? We'll just keep adding states, right? Then they can deal with our first world problems. Like, you know, on my cell phone ain't getting any reception, right?
Or the light in the hot tub in the condo is broken.
Right. And then it'll be like, man, this being an American thing isn't so bad. This is really good living. What have we been doing wrong all of these years? Well, you know, you've been letting dictators run you and you know, accepting the fact that you got to live in shit and you know, using the metric system and all kinds of screwed up stuff like that. Just join us, right?
I was watching Canadian Bacon last night. The guy was on the metric system. What is that crap? I'm sorry, man. That's funny. Oh.
You know, you can sing "I'm proud to be an American," and you can feel this lump in your throat, and you know, be like, "Yeah, man, this is what I've wanted all my life." Or you can just go back to living in a tin shack and not being able to own guns and being afraid for your life all the time.
With no air conditioning, no indoor plumbing, no CD player, no DVR, no satellite. No.
Oy vey.
Yeah, all they gotta do is run their countries like us. We can have more states.
I mean, seriously, we're not taking over. We're not conquering them. We're saying, come join us. Join us. Enjoy living like this. We don't live like this because we're a bunch of spoiled rich assholes. We live like this because a long time ago, a lot of people risked everything so that we could have this today. And we've tried to maintain that, you know? Of course, this younger generation is trying to destroy everything, so...
I like what the Nancy Marshall said today about that. Somebody needs to tell these kids all to sit down and shut the hell up. I mean, literally.
No, it's time to stand up and man the fuck up.
I mean, I swear to God, I would love to sit down with one of these kids and literally tell them to shut their freaking trap. You don't know a damn thing about what you're talking about. Especially a David Hogg. I swear to God, I love to just knock him across his face. God. I can do that. He's closer to my age. I can do that.
I wanted to give some shout outs to people in the external YouTube chat there. Jesse James, Local 223, High Desert Pioneer, just Dano's out there, Stan Alch. Oh, and yeah, there's some weird stuff happening in Canada too, by the way.
That's all Bob's fault.
Yeah, I heard that there was some weird gun stuff happening in Canada too. But anyway, it's like I have a problem enough. There's too much crappy gun stuff happening in America for me to really keep track of all the crappy gun stuff happening in Canada.
Well, I got to tell you that gun things are good in Michigan. I heard a bunch of people sad sacking and whining about the 1.5 million people that were marching in Washington, D.C. and about how there were anti-gun rallies in their state capitals and no pro-gun rallies, or there were pro-gun rallies and nobody showed up, whatever it was. As usual, Michigan, we had a whole bunch of people show up to a rally that was supposed to be really small, and I thought it was done really well. And it was freezing freaking cold out there, and people were out there standing up for their rights. So, I don't know. You sad sacks out there need to take one out of our playbook and get your shit together.
Yeah, get your shit together, people. Man the fuck up. It's Monday, so man the fuck up Monday. And so this is a Lock and Load show on gunchannels.com and broadcasting from the Pineapple Pentagon on the Big Island out there into the interwebs. And our text chat is on gunchannels.com/HVS, as well as the external YouTube. I'm trying to be everywhere all at once. Looks like there's people out on the YouTube side. Maybe people on the YouTube side don't know that Gun Channel's text chats are back up, but they are, amazingly. So that's a good thing. Okay, anybody got anything else they want to rave a rant about?
Has North Korea done anything yet? Sitting there.
He went to Kim Jong-un went to China.
Do we need to have North Korea do something so we have a wag the dog situation? They're so busy with North Korea that they forget about the whole gun thing?
Yeah, he needs to invite Stormy Daniels over to North Korea. And
what is it with you and this chick, HVS? Do you have history with her, or what's going on?
No, but I wish I had some history with her. I mean,
Stormy Daniels. Well, there was another gal though, a brunette gal that also had some claim, but I don't know.
Well, okay. Did any of you marry a blonde?
Yes, and I told her that I prefer redheads, so she got her hair colored.
Okay, that's good.
I ain't touching that one.
Yeah. Sorry, Squid. My sister got red hair. Oh.
All right.
I can tell you this: if you're with a blonde and she's an airhead, and you get her to dye her hair, it doesn't take away the airhead.
Man, you must be alone.
He's been inhaling too much of that plastic residue.
Yeah, I asked one of the managers today if I could get cancer from that stuff. They said only in California.
But they don't have OSHA laws in Michigan?
What laws? Get ignored throughout the rest of the country.
All right. So, any other gun stuff anybody's doing?
I'm gonna go shoot long range on Thursday, out to 1,000 yards
Oh, awesome! With what?
with my 308. I've got an AR-10.
What kind of
308.
optic? What kind of optic do you have?
4 to 14 primary arm, first focal plane scope.
What kind of mount?
What now?
You're roboting. Unfortunately, it's really hard for me to hear.
What did you say? What kind of mount?
Yeah, what kind of mount is your scope mounted with?
It's a Aero Precision ultra lightweight mount. 30 mil diameter.
Okay. Well, have you shot out to 1,000 yards? I never get a chance to shoot out to that range.
No, this is be the first time. I'm gonna just try and just work, past. I can shoot up to 200 here, no problem, near the house. So I'm gonna start shooting at 300 and then work my way and see how far I can get before I start screwing up. Hopefully, it'll be pretty far.
All right.
That is what the weather holds up.
So yeah, I don't know what else is on the horizon for me. I'm going to be going to California to kind of escort my folks over to Arizona. They might be moving, but we're going to spend some time in Prescott, Arizona in May, and so I don't know if that will be like the Escape California tour or something, but I did one behind the enemy lines video like last time I was in California, but or a series of videos, but I'm not sure what other preps I need other than selling my condo and buying a house. But it's like I've kind of just really I kind of under the impression that I think the real estate market is there's a bubble that's going to pop pretty soon. So I don't want to wind up paying too much for a house if I get it half price in like a year or something. But I think mainly it's just that the house that I wanted, they weren't reasonable on the price. They weren't coming down on the price, and they wanted an as-is clause, which is like a bend-over clause, and it was never going to happen. So got to keep looking until the right thing comes along. Basically, is the mode I'm in. I do want to get up into the country and out of you can't really call Kona a city, but for this island it is. But compared to anybody else's on the mainland, Kona's more like a freeway off-ramp with a 7-Eleven and Walmart. And that's about it. So, but we do have a Costco. I think the next thing I really have to work at after I get out of here is power preps, because I really don't have too much of that. Hey, Dust, do you have any on your farm? Do you have like backup generators and stuff on your farm?
Yes, just one. I have a couple big ones, but they're still. I want to go to one that's wired in and automatically kicks on in that, but as of yet, I haven't done that. I would like them to and I'd like them to be propane, because I always have a couple thousand gallons of propane on hand.
Oh, so you have a large propane tank on your property?
Yeah. So after, like, say, now that the weather's broke, I could fill those propane tanks right now, and from here on out, the rest of the year, I'd have a large supply.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I mean, you don't even need to have it switch over automatically. I mean, because that costs a lot more money, because you can always just manually switch it over and
wow. I want it wired up so it happens without me even knowing it. Like, life will not stop at all.
Well, if money matters, that is possible to do that. It just costs more money. That's all.
It's not that much to have.
It's really not. No.
Switch gear. It's not.
Yeah, well, it was an arm and a leg when my dad tried to do it. So he has it. So he just manually. I have a video on how his place is set up.
Your dad probably had to pay somebody like me to know how to do it.
Yeah. Dusty and I can wire up our own system. It wouldn't be a problem.
Oh, are you electrical engineers?
You don't need to be an electrical engineer. It doesn't really take much to install it. It's really a no-brainer.
No, basically, I mean, Squibb does more advanced wiring than what I do at work. Home residential wiring is simple.
Yeah, it's so easy that.
Well, I always hired an electrical contractor to do all the electrical work when I was building the studio and stuff, and electrical contractors charge a lot of money if you put in that kind of a system. So if you can do it without them, more power to you, so to speak. More power. But yeah, that's electrical perhaps is something that's on my to-do list after I change my residence to more like up in the country and not in town kind of a situation. But other than that, I don't have too much else to add for this week, guys. Till my samurai sword gets here, my katana, or whatever you want to call it. This wasn't a super expensive one, but anybody else have any other guns or prepping stuff they're working on? Because I think we exhausted the minefield or whatever part of the chat.
The United States DMZ.
Yeah, yes. I'm working on this right now. This is for the mag cache on the C308.
So let me hit present on that one. What exactly are we looking at again?
This is for the C308, and I've got this little flappy paddle thing right here. And the hole, I did not drill it perfect because I didn't have a guide to measure off of. So I just kind of eyeballed it, and I was like a 16th too far forward. So I had a spare.
Is that the lower or your what is it that you drilled incorrectly?
Right here, I mounted I had to mount this here. So I had to cut out all the inside of the denier bar right here. So this bar is right here, so you can't put a full auto trigger on here. So to put this here, you got to kind of like remove a bunch of material, weld it in place so it can't come out. What happened was the pinhole is too far forward. So it's just too far where it would work right before the mag, like right about here, almost flush with the mag, and then I could pop the mag out. It was just not enough. So I added some material with a welder tonight to this extra piece I had, and if I get the right angle right here, then I'll be able to pop the mag out easily. So it's just a pain in the ass. I wish all I have is this one file. For some reason, I have no idea where my files went. So I had this little shit file, just kind of filing away. Yep.
Now, is that a lower that you made then, or was it an 80%?
This is a Century Arms C308.
Oh, okay.
They don't come with these mag releases. They only come with the one that's just a button on this side. So I said, why not? Let's go ahead and do the flappy paddle mag release. Why not? Bubba's getting to work. Where's that Tapco? So, anyways, yeah, I'm just doing this now.
A little Dremel grinder?
Everybody's asleep, so I gotta be super quiet. I actually do have a Dremel.
Okay.
That would make this go like 30 seconds. I would have been done before I started if I had the Dremel with me. I got this edge all right, but I just need to get a little bit sharper of an edge right here where the actual paddle touches this, so that way it can just push it easy. So here's a piece that isn't screwed up. Here we go. Here's the piece that's not screwed up.
Okay.
So I can always put this one back in and use it. It's just not. It's not right. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm just fooling around with it. I'm digging. I may be digging a little bit of a deeper hole, but I don't really give a shit. So Bubba's gunsmithing.
Where did that phrase come from? Stan Ulch used that phrase. People always say that, dumber than a sack of hammers.
I don't know. Where did the bag of smashed assholes come from?
It's like putting a bunch of hammers in a bag is dumb, I guess.
Yeah, dumber than a bag of hammers or dumber than a box of rock.
I'm sure it came from somewhere.
It implies that the inanimate object does not have any intelligence, so you're even dumber than an inanimate object.
Why is it a lot of them, though? Oh, no.
It just adds insult to injury.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are you dumber than an inanimate object, you're dumber than a whole bag of inanimate objects.
Well, I
if
like
you need to know about dumb, just ask me.
Well, I just like to point out that guns are inanimate objects.
No, they hurt people.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm so upset about gun deaths. I mean, I don't want a gun to die.
We should say that. That's another thing we should talk about on national television. This gun didn't do anything. It's tragic. It's dead now.
What's weird is so there's been one case that said the Second Amendment does not cover assault weapons. But what's weird about that is they keep redefining, because assault weapons is not actually a technical term, so they keep redefining what assault weapons are. So
yeah, that's
what one day ban them all.
Yeah, and any semi-automatic weapon is an assault weapon. I mean, that pretty much covers almost anything.
Well, there's the Remington 700s also on there.
Well, Remington just filed for bankruptcy, apparently.
Did you see? I saw that one of those Sacco bolt-action rifles. They were on the 2018 assault weapons ban. I saw a Marlin Model 60 on there too. That's not even a magazine-fed rifle.
Yeah, that's why I was talking about the Hawaii multi-burst trigger ban. If the police department interprets that to mean that any trigger with a reset is a multi-burst trigger and ban, that pretty much covers almost every modern firearm. Because, I mean, name a gun that doesn't have a trigger reset. I mean, cannon. I mean, could somebody on this panel name a gun that doesn't have a trigger reset?
I don't know enough about. Is there any single actions that don't have a reset on the trigger? I'm not looking at actual gunsmith. I'm just the guy who starts.
I don't know. I can't answer that. I've got a single action because I've got my Encore, and that's a muzzle loader. That's a one-shot deal.
Yeah, but if they base it on a trigger reset, how does the trigger work on that? I mean, I don't know, So it's just they're making up the rules, and they don't really, or they don't have to be logical. They just they're just going to have reasons why you're not allowed to have or buy or carry or use or sell any firearm because they just don't want you to, and it's not going to make any sense. It's just going to be politics. And so all you have to do is get out there and I guess support. I mean, if you don't like if you're whatever your favorite Second Amendment organization is, there's lots of them. There's a Firearms Policy Coalition. There's Second Amendment Foundation. There's Gun Owners of America. So not everybody likes everything the NRA does. I mean, people disagree on things. So, but there's a lot of Florida Carry. There's a lot of good gun organizations out there, gun rights organizations.
Well, you know, one thing I would like to know is, I know they want control, and that's their end game when getting rid of firearms and everything, to control the masses and turn people into sheeple and all that. But are they wanting like a Stalin-style regime after that? Are they wanting like a Hitler-style?
Well, here's the thing: it's that the kids that are like on Fox News is like they're saying that the kids that they interview would say, "Well, we won't stop until we get an assault weapons ban, and we're going to vote out any politician who doesn't vote for an assault weapons ban." And it's like, well, it's
we've already
like,
had one.
We did that, and it didn't work, and they want to do it again. And it's just that I don't think that the free people in America. I mean, I think what we have in America is a lot of free people who just won't march down to the Gestapo headquarters and turn in their weapons. It's not going to happen, no matter what laws the federal government passes. I think freedom resides with the people at this point, and not with the government necessarily, which is kind of sad. But it's the people are free, but I mean, not necessarily because the government says so.
Right, but I mean, I would like a trigger reset.
What?
I do have a gun without a trigger reset because it's a hammer. So you have to cock the hammer in order for the trigger to be cocked.
Okay.
Which it's my muzzle loader, but I have, like right now, there's a 204 Ruger barrel on it, and I also have a 223 barrel for it.
What kind of optic is that?
A Burris.
Burris, okay.
It's a full field 2. It's 4x12.
Cool. Have you that's black powder muzzle loader? So
the receiver itself is a black powder muzzle loader. The barrel is a single shot 204 Ruger. That's the claim to fame of this gun. You can make it into a lot of different things. You can that it's not legal, but that receiver can even be a pistol. I used to have a grip and fork stock for it, but I decided that since it wasn't legal, I got rid of it. In order for it to be configured as a pistol in Michigan, it has to be registered as a pistol. And if you register as a rifle, you can't register it as a pistol.
Okay.
And if it's registered as a pistol, it can't be used as a rifle. So there's a real catch-22 on that one.
Well, so that's okay. Well, gun laws don't make sense. So gun control laws never make sense. And basically, I mean, gun registration always leads to confiscation. They want to know where the guns are. So when the politicians say, okay, take their guns. And well, that's what pisses me off about when these kids get on, say, TV and say, well, we don't really want to take your guns. That's a lie that the NRA tells. But maybe the children don't want to take their guns, but the politicians do. I mean, Dianne Feinstein has said if she could pass a bill where Mr. and Mrs. America have to turn in their guns, she would. And so when the kids say, well, we don't want to really take all your guns, that's a lie. That, well, of course you don't, but the politicians who you're promoting, that they want to take all the guns. it would never happen because whatever laws they pass in Washington, I mean, the freedom of the people really resides with the people, not the government.
Well, if they're going to take one of my rights away, I want all the rights taken away for everybody, especially these kids. I mean, this is malarkey. It's bullcrap. If they say that the Second Amendment's outdated and whatnot, then the First Amendment's outdated.
Well, they should repeal it. They should repeal it.
Every single one.
Let them try to repeal it.
Then all gone. I mean, then fine. Let us live like the freaking Russians did. I mean, I remember growing up. I mean, yeah, okay. Gorbachev was in power in Russia. I didn't see Brezhnev and Khrushchev, banging their fists, saying "We'll bury you" and all that crap like my parents saw. But I saw how they lived over there. I saw it on TV. I never wanted to live like that. I don't want to live like that now. I don't want my kid to grow up in a world like that. And they want to sit there and say, "Well, this is old and outdated." Well, that's what you're going to get if you don't have that. And they've never seen that crap. They've never seen how those people stand in lines for bread and live in shacks that are just no heat, no air conditioning, and nothing. I mean, they don't know anything about it. They don't even know what they're talking about. Hell, they had a freaking organization, one of the largest organizations that kill children every year, sponsor this stupid March for Their Lives crap, and they're talking about saving children's lives. And by God, they got a big child killing organization sponsoring it. I mean, baloney.
Yeah, it's the politics. Well, basically, when whoever paid for all that stuff, all the buses and stuff, I mean, to bus all those people there, I mean, they organized a 200,000 person rally in Washington. That's a big rally. I mean, they may have said it they wanted. They hadn't had higher hopes and targets, but that's a pretty large rally that can get people's attention. But I mean, eventually, the bottom line is kids, children, young people don't vote. Old people vote. I mean, that's
now.
What's that?
They're apparently going to vote now.
They say they're going to vote, but there's an election is a long time away. I mean, saying you're going to vote at a rally is different from actually going down and voting or getting an absentee ballot delivered and arranging for all that. And voting and actually is actually the statistics show that I think only about 20% of kids under 25 vote. Adults under 25 vote. I won't call them kids, but I mean,
no, they're kids.
Since I'm 50 something, then they're kids. Yeah,
I'm 37. I'm 37. They're kids. I mean, they haven't. None of these people that were in these protests, none of these children have seen the way it was in this world and the way it could be. I have. Through when I was growing up. You all have. We all have. I ain't gonna live like that.
Yeah, the way the world works, a lot of people are just oblivious to it, I think.
I think if they'd seen that, how people live, they might shut their traps and go, "Oh, I don't want to live like that. You want to ride your bike down the street? You want your car to drive to and from school? You want to go pick up your girlfriend, go out and go to the movie and, do it. Certain things that
but here's the thing. You just hit the nail on the head right there. Go get your car and go pick up your girlfriend. Look at these kids today. They don't want to drive. They're not interested in relationships. They'd rather sit on their computers and play video games online. They're not interested in getting. When we were kids, you got a job so you can get a car so you can get a girl. They're not interested in getting a job. They're not interested in driving. They don't want to work for it. And girls, it's not they don't ever want to get interested in girls, but it's not the same. Like when they go to the prom, they go in groups, like group dates. They don't. It's not like
really.
And they do.
They're not allowed
to get a bunch of boys or a bunch of girls, and they'll ride in a limo together, and they're all friends. And I'm not talking about some sort of weird, thing where they all get together, and I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that they don't have the values they have. They don't have.
I'm going back to high school, man.
No, because you wouldn't get any. It's not about that. If you think the group means that there's a bunch of boys and girls getting together and they're just switching partners, no, it's not what you think. That's what I mean. In today's day and age, these kids don't have the same values we have.
Wait a minute, are you saying teenagers aren't interested in sex? Because I got to
not really. No, they're more interested in video games. They're honestly more interested in video games. Yeah. So so you can't get them to understand stuff because they don't have the same values. They don't have the same upbringing. They don't have the same. So, I don't think they will go to vote only because they're that lazy. They're that, unless somebody actually holds their hand and shows them how to go down to the same place they get their driver's license to fill out a voter's registration. And they might go, this is too much work. I'm serious about that. I mean, they're that lazy and they just have a whole different set of, it's just.
Well, if you're in Hawaii and you like Second Amendment rights, on my YouTube channel, you could just click on and register to vote that way. So it's on my channel page. But yeah, that's hard to believe that kids aren't interested in sex. I mean, generally, when you hit a certain age, it's just hormonal and that's it. Nothing, it's just the hormones kick in and your brain stops working and it's just overpowered by biology. That's kind of what I remember.
It's suppressed by stuff that's in the food. I don't know. There were things put in the food to make women's parts more attractive for years.
Well, wait a minute. Just don't start blaming it on macaroni and cheese. I don't want to hear that.
It's in everything.
Well, all I know is my water is filtered, so there can't be anything bad coming through my water because it goes through the reverse osmosis and then it gets put through the water distillation, and then I make my coffee.
It's also in the air. All them chemtrails you see above the sky and everything.
Well, the chemtrails that people think are conspiracies are more likely caused by cosmic rays and the magnetosphere. The magnetic. I mean, basically, Earth is the core of the planet Earth is a hunk of metal, and it has a magnetosphere, and it happens to be getting a little weaker right now, and so there's less protection from radiation from space and radiation from the sun. So cosmic rays can cause chemtrails, and it's not like necessarily caused by a government. It's or a conspiracy of any kind. It's just the magnetosphere is getting weaker of the planet Earth, and so
it's not caused by hot air touching cool air, which condenses.
Well, cosmic rays have a gamma radiation. Cosmic rays. I mean, these are real things that happen come from space.
I know it's real. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you it's real, but I mean. I thought warm air, cool air, water condenses and makes a cloud, and that's what jet exhaust air.
As long as there has to be something for the water to condense around, like a tiny piece of.
There's lots of frozen water there. There's lots of crap.
If you want, you have to that's the whole thing about cloud seeding is you have to have dust in the air for there to be. And the Earth is bombarded by little particles of space meteors that are micrometeors that are they're too small to cause enough friction to burn up in the atmosphere. But that's how basically little meteors can basically form snow and then fall from. But it's not. I mean, this water from space. The solar radiation is hydrogen, but there has to be particles. So people think that the cosmic rays are all like a government conspiracy, but no, it's just space. It's space, gamma radiation, cosmic rays from space, from the sun, and a less powerful magnetosphere protecting the Earth from radiation of this kind. And so there you go, nature.
And Al Gore started it all.
No, he was too busy inventing the internet, and so he let it happen. It's all his fault.
I thought it was all George Bush's fault.
Yeah, so that was Obama. I always say it's George Bush's fault, and you're all racist to cling to their Bible,
I thought that was
and guns and Bibles,
I
guns
thought
and
that was
religion.
I thought that was the big deal now. Still, it's all George Bush's fault. I thought we were still doing that.
Well, I did have somebody tell me that this whole economy is all George Bush's fault. Anything wrong? It's like, really?
We had a sign. We had some town out here when Obama became president, and they put up George Bush, little Bush, on on the billboard, and he's waving, and he's got this big old grin on his, face, and he's waving at you, and it says on the top, it says, "Miss me yet?" when you drove by it. Like, it was just funny. I was like,
people are brainwashed. They think if something good happens, if the economy is improving, it's because of something Obama did, and if anything's going bad, it's George Bush's fault or Trump messed it up. It's like the country is just almost on the edge of it's like a civil war, pretty much. I mean, if you listen to if the media was running everything, there would be a civil war. But I don't know how many people pay attention to the media anymore. But
well, we're closer now in history than we ever have been before, and since the last one. So
yeah, I'm getting the appeal of just unplugging from everything at some point and just saying, you know what? I mean, fuck Facebook, Google, YouTube, and everything. I'm just gonna go out to the jungle, build a campfire, and just watch the stars at night go by.
Live like the medicine man, huh?
Yeah, just go to the beach, watch the ocean come in, watch the waves, and then not worry about anything anymore.
Like Gillian and the Professor and all them.
Democrats.
Except the price of Bitcoin.
Crazy shit. Democrats.
What'd you say, Jared?
I've been seeing Democrats post all sorts of crazy shit lately. Like,
yeah,
all sorts of like fake, shitty articles, stupid articles. Posting. The one I saw just before I popped into the chat was white people are the new like maximum terrorist threats.
Oh yeah, the NRA are terrorists, is what they said. The NRA members.
No, it was literally like white men are the new worldwide terrorists.
Can you turn up your volume a little, because I can't hear you?
You're gonna have to turn me up in the thing.
Okay, I'll try to do that.
Yeah, it was just like white men are the new terror threat. Like, so that's some bold claims to be making there. But yeah, she also posts articles saying the NRA is a terrorist organization and blah 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 blah. So I've been seeing a lot more of that lately, though. People who are Democrats posting like what I used to only see from people who are Republicans. Posting like some people post some crazy articles from like No Name.
Posting where?
No Name on Facebook.
On your Facebook? Oh, you use Facebook? I mean, there's a whole delete Facebook movement out there. And today, the Wall Street Journal had a whole tear out page advertisement by somebody on, it was just how to delete your Facebook page and a full page ad in the Wall Street Journal. Really?
It's not possible.
Because Zuckerberg is a fucking huge liberal. So they're so stupid to fucking eat him alive. He's a giant liberal.
Well, he's getting called before Congress for testimony, but worse than that, I mean, he's just has no idea how to run a company. And considering the market capitalization of Facebook, yeah, it's gone down like $11 billion the last week, but it's still a pretty huge market capitalization for a company. But he has no idea what he's doing.
What's even better is I've seen people post things saying this fucking Facebook's terrible with Cambridge Analytica, and then on the next breath, they're posting things from apps, which it said specifically in the Cambridge Analytica thing that they used apps to get people's information. So the same people who are bellyaching and whining are turning around and posting shit through apps, allowing them to collect data again. Like, what are you guys doing here? Like, these guys are terrible. And then the next thing, they're fucking. What's your personality like?
Well, I'll just say it again to everybody on YouTube that for example, which is a lot of the people on gun channels. If you aren't paying for a service, then you are the product. So yes, you have been created, and you are the product of Google, and they will try and make money off you any way they can because you are their product. They will get your information and sell it and make money any way they can.
Funny how it always comes back to money.
Well, it's the root of everything, good, bad, and different.
Money makes the world go around, greases the wheels.
Yes, it does. That's Trump's song, money, money, money.
You know, I was thinking that because he had so much money, he couldn't be bought, but I guess I wasn't thinking right.
Well, who do you think bought him? Nobody bought him. He's just dealing with a crazy, screwed up government that trying to get something done.
I don't think somebody bought him, but I just kind of thought he would, I don't know, just handle things different because we would be getting somebody who couldn't be bought, and he's really not handling it any better, any worse than anybody else.
He's handling it different. He's doing it his way. I mean, it's a little different. Like the thing with the trade war, the trade tariff thing. Basically, he threatened trade tariffs against everybody, and then now China is like ready to actually make a deal that they've never made, and stop demanding the U.S. firms transfer their technology over, and they're going to reduce the trade deficit by $100 billion a year, and they're actually sitting down to talk about stuff that they would never have talked about before. So,
but okay, if he handled it differently, then why with this again in this omnibus bill, why are we giving millions and millions of dollars, all these stupid, as he says, and same thing I say, shithole countries? You know, we're giving, I think, like some country in Africa, we're giving like $50 million. We're sending money everywhere with this stupid thing.
Have you read it yet? I haven't. I've got better things to do.
Do you know why? Do you know why we send money to these third world countries? It's easier to pay them off than it is to fight them. It's not that we couldn't go in there and kick ass, but it's cheaper just to send them this money than it is to pay the military to go in there and then have to deal with the dead Americans.
Yeah, I mean, we could print up as much currency as we want and send it somewhere. They just print up a new batch from thin air.
I mean, my whole thing is like, look, there's thousands of people, tens of thousands of people that need help here, and you know, I mean, we don't have to go over there and fight them. We don't, you know, they want to come start stuff. Hey, come knock on my door. Come knock on our door. Try and hurt us, and we'll knock the living crap out of you. You know, I mean, but we got stuff we can take care of here first. There's no reason. I mean, I understand, Squib. I know what you're saying. I hear you, but man, we could just.
I'm not saying I agree with it. My thing is, I don't really give a shit if we're the world's bad guy, because we're the greatest country on the planet, and if somebody doesn't want to see that, I don't really care. So if some country says, look, you either pay us off or we'll use terrorist attack or we'll attack your interests overseas or whatever, I'll send in the military. And if my advisors are going, this is going to cost you 100 times more than just paying them off, it'd be like, yeah, it's called principle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's how, and well, that's also how you get things changed. I mean, we changed the way people are being brought up and the way people think and the way people see us when we do that. It's not going to take a year. It's not going to take 4 years. It's going to take a lot longer than that. But I mean,
well, I think I stopped caring how people see me many, many years ago. What was that?
Just like
to your own self.
Just like you're saying, hey, if you want to join us, then hey, join us. You know, live like we want to live. Live like we do here. If you don't, kiss my ass. You know, but you come starting crap and you want to hurt people. hey, maybe we'll send a few tomahawks after your ass, or them tungsten rods dropped from space. Okay.
Tungsten rods from space?
Yeah.
They can't afford real steel? Real steel?
Well, it hits the ground.
Orbital kinetic bombardment.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it's gun stuff. The Army has a new tungsten carbide round.
Do they?
Yeah. Let me go through my emails. Some firearms blog had something on it. Let me punch that up. Give me a second. I better not have deleted it. Let's see. So many emails. I might have deleted it. Oh, wait, no. Firearms blog. Here's this one. Let's see. YouTube rules changes cause content creators to migrate to Pornhub. Citibank to limit gun sales. 22 squibs in one barrel, new record. Beretta agrees to guitar rifle production. JPX 6 jet protector less lethal weapon system. Here it is. Here's something we can talk about that has to do with guns. Let me click on this. Screen share coming up. Okay, can you see this? First look, U.S. Army's armor-piercing tungsten cord XM1158 round. They look like green tips.
Green tips. Hey.
But these are advanced armor-piercing, not light armor-piercing.
Cool.
The Army's 7.62 by 51 millimeter XM1158 advanced armor-piercing ADVAP round featured in the U.S. Army's Manufacturing Technology Program 2018 fiscal update as one of their successful programs. The XM1158 round is said to provide improved performance against barriers and armor likely to be encountered by infantry. XM1158 is expected to replace the Army's older M993 armor-piercing ammo. Last month, Nathaniel explained that the new round is based on the redesign of the M80A1 enhanced performance round, but instead of a steel penetrator, it has a tungsten core. Nathaniel also revealed that the round is estimated to cost as much as $13 a round. Damn. Well, that's the government.
I have a hard time believing that they pay less for everything than we do. All this stuff about $100 hammer and stuff is a load of crap.
Called government contracting.
Oh, I'm not saying there isn't some funny stuff going on where there's some palms getting greased and it's a load of crap on as far as
no big contracts.
Projects and stuff. But I'm talking about your average everyday stuff like toilet paper, staples, and bullets. They pay less than it's so cheap you wouldn't believe.
The high initial cost of the round is a surprise. The Army's stated aim with the new round was to drive down component costs. The Mantech update explains that green machining decreases the product cost by increasing the efficiency of producing complex shapes and configurations. More than 50,000 components were produced using this method. Green machining?
They're just being environmental friendly in manufacturing.
Mantech update explains.
The other thing too is if there's any technology that they get out of this that they use to make ammunition that they can use for something else in the civilian sector, that sector reaps the benefit of the government having paid the R&D costs.
Anticipated assembly rate of 60 parts per minute for the bullet with faster tooling changes. There's just time to produce the penetrator.
The only tungsten I've worked with is in welding, so I'm not really sure how hard it is to form it. I know you take it to a grinding wheel, it grinds down just like steel or aluminum. So the tungsten is dense, and that's where you're getting the armor piercing. That's why they use a depleted uranium, because it's the density. So you put that in with the velocity, blah, 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 some sort of math stuff. Jared, help me out here with the mechanical engineering, and you have an armor-piercing round.
Well, when they come out with this at 5.56, I want one.
I'll shoot that right now.
And at the price there at $13 a round, I think I will take only one.
That might be prototyping costs, but when they mass produce this stuff and it's a government contract, I'm telling you, it's dirt cheap.
Well, they look like my green tips. They look like the green tips that I have, but obviously they're not. These are 7.62 by 51, not 5.56.
Wonder how long before we'll see that on the shelves at Academy or Bass Pro.
I don't know. But I thought you guys would want to hear about that. Since somebody started talking about tungsten from outer space, I thought,
Well, no, it's true. You got it. They got it. That's not a fake thing.
Yeah, well, it triggered something in my brain that said, "Oh yeah, tungsten, new rounds." See, I'm all over this shit. You say tungsten and something triggers in my mind.
I just want to know when we're going to build the Death Star. It's being built on the other side of the moon, right?
I'd settle for an X-Wing fighter. I really would love to have a hand phaser, just a hand phaser. That would be awesome.
X-Wing there, that'd be cool. An X-Wing would be cool. Oh, have you guys looked up any of that stuff on Star Wars on YouTube, on like with Star Wars and like Magnum PI intros and Airwolf intros and stuff before?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Have you seen the one with the Dukes of Hazzard? It's for Star Wars. It is too funny, man. It's the Dukes of Star Wars.
I saw the one too where they did the Star Wars animated series, and they used the Robotech theme music. It was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to look up the Dukes of Star Wars. It's a pretty good laugh.
I've been watching a lot of Babylon 5 stuff.
They bring that show back.
I mean, who do you? Okay, so we'll end this chat with this pop quiz. What is the most, or who is the most badass alien in any movie or TV series?
The Borg.
Ooh, the Predator.
Bo Solo.
Bo Solo, yeah.
Luke Walker.
Luke Walker.
Princess Daisy.
Who the hell is Princess Daisy?
Uncle Obi-Wan. R2. I can't even read it. Greedo P.
Coltrane.
Jabba the Hog.
Now, I'm going to go with my choice is Ambassador Delenn of the Minbari. There's this one clip from Babylon 5 called "If You Value Your Lives." You should watch that clip. And definitely Ambassador Delenn from the Minbari was the most badass alien, in my opinion.
What gal that had the big bone on the top of her head, then she got hair?
Yeah.
And then she changed into a human because they're part human or whatever.
Yeah, Minbari souls were human souls and they realized that's like when Sheridan fought the Black Star, and I guess used nukes to blow up the Black Star, and that was the only captain that ever survived a battle with the Minbari fleet. And he was put in charge of Babylon 5. But the issue that the reason I forget what battle it was, or when they Minbari were defeating the humans, and the warrior caste wanted to finish off a human fleet, and the religious caste that they realized that they were killing themselves because Minbari souls were
connected to us somehow.
Were coming to humans, or humans were big souls were going to Minbari, or something like that. And the warrior caste didn't understand, but there was a caste system, and then the warriors did the fighting, but the religious caste made those kinds of determinations, so they just stopped fighting. And but there's this one scene called "If You Value Your Lives," when there's like a civil war on Earth, and they send military ships to seize Babylon 5, and Ambassador Delenn basically just tells the fleet, Babylon 5 is under our protection. If you value your lives, leave, be somewhere. You're in front of me. If you value your lives, be somewhere else. And she's just badass. The Earth fleet just turns around. It's like, okay, we're out of here. But that one scene, that's why I would vote for Ambassador Delenn. But anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in to the Lock and Load show, Man the Fuck Up Monday, whatever, on Gun Channels, which appears to be back up and functioning, which is good news. We need a Second Amendment platform that kind of works. And I guess that's Gun Channels, the Second Amendment platform that kind of works. So it's free if you want to check it out. My text chat is for my show is gunchannels.com/HVS. And there's a lot of other good shows on Gun Channels. And there's a lot of good Second Amendment organizations you can consider joining, depending on what state you're in. Florida Carry, Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America, Firearms Policy Coalition. And they're all out there. There's not just the NRA. There's a lot of other good organizations. So check them out, and we'll see you again next week. I'm not sure if I'll have my katana sword by then, but I'll be waiting. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Give us a thumbs up.
Musashi.
Bye, Felicia.